All right, welcome back. So let's talk about the third section of setting up your listing in Lodgify. So again, we got here because we're under My Properties and we're actually in a listing and we're under the rates section. So I'm just going to go over some of the very general things. I don't want to get too deep into this because I do get deeper into the pricing and things like that in some different videos. But for now, we're just going to kind of go briefly over the rates area. So you're going to want to set up your bookability for your property is what Lodgify calls it. So you can have instant booking, inquiries only, or booking request. So a booking request lets them put in their dates and things like that when they're kind of wondering if they can book that, and then it'll come to you as a request. And then they get different messaging when they do that versus when they do an instant book or an inquiry only. An instant book is basically they're on your website and they can put in their credit card information and actually book the listing from you immediately, and it'll block your calendar and however else you have it set it up in whatever other platforms. Maybe you have it set up in Airbnb as well. So that's what that is. Now you want to select a policy. So we have a primary policy. This is what it is. But you could set up policies. You could have more than one policy depending on your unit, depending on different things. So let me show you where you do that. So you could click it here under Manage Policies, or you can go to General Settings. It will take you to the exact same page, but just in case you forget like where it is, because I wouldn't want to go into listing to find it this way, but you can get it from either General Settings or just click here. So let's just click here and I will show you how to set up your policy. So we're going to let that load. Don't know why that's taking so long, but we'll let it load up for a second. All right, here it is. So we are under policies right here. And so here's one of my policies. You can create a policy yourself. You're going to name it, and then you're going to go into if you want to schedule 1 payment, 2 payments, 3 payments. I always stick with 1 payment because I like to get paid up front instead of doing some kind of tiered system. But if you didn't do that, so let's say you chose 2 payments, you would be able to choose what percentage. And it doesn't have to be 50%. You could say 25% of the amount of booking, or a percentage, or a flat amount, whatever. And then your next one could be however many days before departure even. So all of this you could set up here, but again, I always select 1 payment. It's much easier. And then you could select the cancellation. So is it non-refundable, fully refundable, partially refundable? So in my instance, I put that it's partially refundable or non-refundable. I usually don't do a fully refundable, but there are different reasons to select them. I'm not going to go too far into that now, but just know that it's there. I'll go into that in another video, but you could also do a damage deposit. So that's like a security deposit, and you could do it by a percentage or of the total booking value, or you could do it by a dollar amount, so a flat amount as well. Just so you see that there. And then this is just for when you provide a quote to somebody when it expires, so that it's just not out there forever for them, because you might have your pricing change and things like that. But this is where you add your policies. And if you look at mine for this one, we have 100% is due at time of booking. So there's no reason for another remaining balance because it's 100%. And then our cancellation policy is we would provide a 50% basically back to them if they canceled within 21 days before their arrival. That's plenty of time for us to rebook the unit. And then 0% if it's after that 21 days. So it's between 0 and 20 days, then we're not going to give any of that back. So they have to be responsible enough to cancel in time. And then we have a $500 refundable damage deposit, obviously. And then our quotes expire in 24 hours. We don't let it kind of expand beyond that. But that is where you select your policy. And again, you can have multiple policies. So let's go back to rates now. All right. So we have our primary policy there, and it'll remind you of what's in there. And if you wanted to choose another one, you just choose this drop down. But since we don't have another one in there right now, that's why you only see one. And then you're going to select the currency. And then it's going to say, do you want it? So normally it would be clicked as no. But if you wanted to apply different prices depending on the day of the week, you can do that here. You could put in a weekly or monthly as well. I would highly suggest, so I've put these here just so you could see, but I would really highly suggest you use a pricing tool for this, and a dynamic pricing, meaning that your price varies by demand, by the neighborhood you're in, by amenities, by what events are going on, things like that. That is a much better way to price your units because you're going with kind of the demand of listings in the area. So, but for now, if you didn't want to do that, I at least suggest you change your Friday and Saturdays to a higher rate. Those usually tend to get booked up the fastest, so you want to be able to do that. But again, I'm not going to go deep into price, but you definitely that is something you want to learn eventually, and as quickly as you can, because that is the crux of your business. But I'm not going to go into it in this video. But anyway, the next is, do you want to apply an extra charge considering the number of guests? So you could say no or yes. We do, and we charge $15 per guest per night after the first two guests. So this would be for the third, fourth, and fifth guest. It'll be, so the third guest, you're going to get an extra $15 per night per guest, and the fourth guest, you're going to get an extra $30 per night. And then the fifth guest there, you're going to get an extra $45 per night, because that's 3 guests times 15, for example. So I do this because it actually does cost us more to turn the unit, and provide the extra towels and linens and things like that. So yeah, I mean, and you could put it at whatever price that makes sense for you and your property. And yeah, so that's what you do. You can choose to do that, or you don't have to, though. And then there are other options as well as minimum stay or check-in. You do want to put your check-in and check-out. That is very important, especially if you're running it as a business where people are checking in and out the same day at the same property. So we have our checkout time at 11 a.m. and then check-in at 4 p.m., which gives our cleaners 5 hours to clean the unit. Now, it shouldn't take 5 hours to clean the unit, obviously, because they're cleaning multiple units for us. But this is the time period that works best for us, and I think is very suitable for most travelers and things like that as well. Now, if we finish early, we definitely can give them access early, or we could even sell access early if we wanted to do that. But it's very important to have this, because if you don't, and one of your guests is like, oh yeah, I'm going to check out at I don't know, 1 p.m. and your check-in guest is like, oh, I'm going to be checking in at 10 a.m. That's not going to work, because you're going to have both guests there at the same time. That's just not going to work for you. So it's very important to actually set these rules. And I mean, we use these. I recommend you use the same. We definitely have worked with these numbers, and they do work for us. And then you're going to want to put in your cleaning charge. And then you could put a miscellaneous charge if you want, and taxes. So for us, our taxes are 14%. So that is what we put. And then you can click here to see the additional rate settings. So they're pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think I need to go through all of them. But yeah, so these are our settings that we've chose. And for people booking on our website, we actually have chose to enable advance notice. So this, for example, we have a 3-day advance notice where guests can book. So what that means is, if we don't accept same day bookings on our website, for example, that's what that would do. They have to book at least 3 days in advance. So that kind of deters any last minute bookings. We don't want to serve that guest on our direct website right now. But if they did want to to book that way. They could do it on Airbnb, for example. But for us, we've chosen to use it as giving us advance notice 3 days in advance. And that could change. That probably will change for us later on, and we probably won't have any advance notice. But for now, we're going to keep it that way. And that way we are able to train our team and stuff to get used to accepting bookings from our website, since this is more new for them to do it this way. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to think about too. If you're still training your team, for example, to accept bookings on your personal website through Lodgify, you probably want to give them a little bit of an advance notice so they get used to the procedures and systems that you've built. And then you'll be able to change that later on. So as they get more comfortable with your process and stuff, and that'll just save you a lot of stress. And then they have this owner payout. So we don't have this because all of our properties are our own. But you could do an owner payout, and you could set up owners, but I'm not going to show you that right now. But you can pay them out, or basically you'll be able to show them how much they've earned from this specific property, and what percentage that you guys might have agreed upon. But we don't use that, but you totally could, and it's right there. So now I'm going to not go over season rates, because that's more what I'll go over in my pricing video. But yeah, so I'm going to skip that right now. And this calendar would just show you specifically your different rates that you have set up, and you'll be able to see those on the day. But so we're not going to go over that right now. And then you have rate notes. This does show up on the website. If you put that in there, it's basically just a text box, so you can add stuff in there or not. I don't think it's that important, so we're not going to go over it right now. Your rental agreement. So this shows up on your website as well. It's a link though. So I actually don't think you should use it as a rental agreement. I think you should be using this as your house rules. And again, it's just a text box, so you can write them out and kind of make them look nice and things like that. But it's really not your rental agreement, because it's not dynamic. And I don't suggest you do it this way. There is another way that we do it, where we actually get the photo ID of the person, their selfie, and a rental agreement that is specific to the dates they've selected, the properties they selected, the amount of income that they're paying, and things like that. So I don't suggest trying to put your rental agreement here. It doesn't make sense, but it is great for your house rules. So just know that as well. And we're not going to go over promotion and add-ons in this section or in this video. But I definitely go over this in a lot of detail, because this is where you can make a lot of extra income from your short-term rental business, because people love promotions, number one, and there's so many things you can do with this. There's so much you can do with your marketing here, and your add-ons as well. I mean, these are your upsell items. So again, I'm not going to go in it right now. It is definitely very exciting, but I'm going to save that for another video where we go into a lot of detail on that. But just know that it's there, and if you want to start going into it, I mean, you can click into it and kind of start doing that there. So, but yeah, not right now, for another day. So again, remember, always save and continue, and I'll see you in the next section.